Welcome to Tracking the Cats. I'm Bob Saban along with Steve White here every couple of weeks. Took a little Christmas break, but we're back at you early in January and ready to go. We've got some good stuff coming up. We're brought to you as always by Stanberry Insurance, offices all around the areas. Silva's, the home office, Waynesville, Highlands, and Clyde. Give Stanberry a call if you ever have any insurance needs, which I'm sure you do. We got a couple of really cool things going on, Steve. One is that we are going to be starting the podcast airing weekly, WWCU 95.3 FM in Cullowhee, and can be heard across, I think it's 3 different counties, Swain, Macon, and Jackson. And so it should expand and give you the availability, listeners, to tune in on Saturday mornings at 9 o'clock. And hear Steve and me do our little, hopefully meaningful chats from time to time.
Dog and pony show.
Yes, absolutely. This episode, we don't have any special guests, but we have a lot to talk about. There's 3 or 4 sports that we want to discuss and some things along the sports and athletics line at Western Carolina. But we're going to start out with men's basketball because today being Thursday, January 8th, we played Samford last night in Birmingham, actually Homewood, Alabama, and had I thought was going to be a rout early in the game.
Yes, led by 18 points in the first half, Bob. And I was really feeling good about the situation, too. And they caught up with us midway through the second half. And unfortunately, I think we scored only 11 points in the last 8 minutes of that ball game and let them take control of the ball game. And I don't know if you noticed or not, huge crowd there last night. I think I counted 28 people or something like that.
The official count was 800 and some, but there's no way there was more than 200 people in that building.
That was season ticket holders, the band, which maybe was there, the cheerleaders, everybody that, thought about coming to the game or listened to it on their radio, maybe something like that. They were counting a lot of people. Yes. I'll never complain again about Western's basketball attendance after seeing
I'll never complain about Western's ESPN coverage at home because we've got, I think, some of the best and I would say most neutral on an ESPN broadcast sportscasters in Hooker and whoever else he has next to him. And sometimes he's on his own, right?
Exactly. Yeah. Hooker's multifaceted. Yes, he is.
The basketball team, I saw that there was only one lead change in the game, and that was late in the game and for good, unfortunately, the rest of the game.
Yeah, like I say, that last 8 minutes of the ball game, you could just see it's fading away, just not able to take care of the basketball and missing, I don't know, maybe 6 or 8 layups we missed in that ball game. But Samuel Dada, that's a new name. A lot of people don't know who Samuel Dada is, but you can't miss him. He's about 7-footer and coming out of Africa. And he had a career high 19 points last night. Missed only 1 shot from the floor in the ball game. 6 of 7 from the floor. He made all 7 of his free throws. When's the last time you saw a Western big man, anybody over, say, 6'5", that could hit free throws consistently, going back maybe to Jake Robinson, somebody like that? But 14 rebounds, that was his career high. Only 1 turnover. He blocked 4 shots, and he didn't start. Kaba started the ball game, got in foul trouble early.
2 fouls real quick,
He had 4 fouls in the first half, and Dada just took over and established himself. That's exciting right there. Now, when's the last time we had a big man with those kind of numbers?
It's a freshman.
Yes.
Hopefully we keep him. Maybe there'll be some check portal with the NCAA meeting next week. But one thing that I wanted to mention was his ability for offensive rebounds. It leads, but not just him, but as a team, we are leading the Southern Conference in offensive rebounds. I think we're 3rd or 4th in defensive rebounds, but still a much improved statistic, which I think was going to help us down the stretch. If we can figure out how to be more consistent with our shooting.
Yeah, I just got to believe that our backcourt shooters, they're proven shooters. You're talking talk about Marcus Kell back there shooting the basketballs. Summary, and I guess Stansberry's been in and out, hot and cold. But our backcourt shooters last night really had an off night. Only 5 of 15 on threes, only 16 of 47 from the floor. That's 34%. You've got to shoot 40% or better to even really have a chance, even though we did have a chance. And we're only like 2 of 7 on threes in the second half. And like I say, I think we must have missed 8, maybe 9 layups in that second half.
We're almost 45% shooting in the first half.
Yes.
Fell off.
18-point lead. Yes, that was a tough loss. That was one of those coulda, shoulda, woulda games. And just like I say, disappointing finish, but very encouraging for 30-plus minutes of that ball game.
We got Citadel in Charleston, always tough. Usually score. It's usually like a 95 to 89 game, one way or the other. That's coming up on Saturday, and Citadel's really struggling this year. So hopefully we'll get some of the momentum back if we can get a little more consistent.
Yeah, that's a must-win situation for us Saturday down there to keep our head above water, because Wednesday, a week from last night, we've got East Tennessee State coming in here, and I really think, Bob, they might be the best team in the league. Came down between East Tennessee and Mercer last week, and East Tennessee beat them going away. And then, of course, we beat Furman. That was without Bowser. But those probably right now the 3 best teams, looking at East Tennessee State, Mercer, and Furman. Now, there might be some other people that are coming along, and it's tell you, an interesting league right now. Like I say, East Tennessee and Wofford both at 3-0. Now, there's another team. Both are 11-5. Wofford is shooting the lights out of the basketball. They're not that physical. They're not the great inside. But this is a well-coached team that everyone didn't expect after their coach lost his job and some players transferred. Really a lot of new faces in there, a lot of no-names in that Wofford lineup. But East Tennessee and Wofford right now 3-0 in the league, both of them 11-5. Then you got UNC Greensboro and Sanford and Furman all at 2-1, and both all with winning records though. And then we got the Catamounts and VMI, Mercer all at 1-2, and really surprising, Chattanooga at 0-3 in the league.
Yeah.
They lost a lot of it.
Oh, I feel so bad.
I know it. I know it's bad. And of course, Citadel bringing up the bottom there at 0-3. But again, right now it's hard to really get a look at it. But East Tennessee and Wofford looking 2 of the big surprise teams, and Mercer was playing extremely well until those last 2 losses. They've got the second best overall record in the league right now. So it's going to be a tough road, but I think this team is going to get better and better as we progress. And I think we're going to see by mid-season what I am thinking we're going to be, which is very competitive.
As you and me, both of us Florida natives or near natives, the Mercer coach, my son and daughter-in-law actually know him. And they've been very impressed with him and knew he would be struggling last year, but some big improvements down there in Macon. It's going to be a good league this year. When is the Southern Conference never competitive? It's the matter of at what level in the mid majors are we competitive, right? Are we kind of struggling against other teams, or are we pretty solid? And I'd love to get us back to where we were the days with College of Charleston and Davidson being part of the league.
Yeah, Mr. Jennings up at East Tennessee, and back in the days of Marshall, and when Chattanooga was actually a national recognized program over there. Yeah, hopefully that's going to come. But again, I just think this team is, like I say, a work in progress. That chemistry is not quite there right at the moment. And I call Coach Kraft, I call him the mad scientist, as he's working with those chemicals there, trying to get it all squared away. So we'll see. The big week coming up. Like I say, a must win, I think, at the Citadel, and could set up something very interesting here next Wednesday night with East Tennessee.
I'm looking forward to being there. I'm coming up from Atlanta, and I'll be at the game next Wednesday to watch East Tennessee. Unfortunately, I'll have a Buccaneer friend sitting next to me, but there's punches thrown in the stand. Maybe some of the band members can join in and help me out.
There you go. We'll have our students back on campus Monday.
Yes.
So we should have a good turnout Wednesday.
Yeah. So let's take a look at the ladies, and they open up their schedule, their Southern Conference schedule tonight, as a matter of fact.
Yes. Against Mercer, a team that was originally picked like they maybe just above us at the bottom of the league, not highly respected. And right now, Mercer's 10-5 in the
Wow.
Southern Conference. Not in the Southern Conference, but overall. This tonight are the first Southern Conference games for the women's programs. But again, really, you talk about injuries just decimating a team right now. As the Lady Cats are just really struggling, losing Ellie Richardson for the year with knee surgery, and a couple of other young ladies not able to play. Grace Pack out there really playing on one leg right now, but they're sort of bone on bone, and they're struggling. But again, you see some flashes there, and if he could get a couple of people back from injuries, I think they could maybe turn into a competitive program this season.
Yeah, we had a couple of easy games there to close out the non-conference season, and we scored 90 points in both games. They were teams that I think it was 91-16 or something. The
Yeah,
last game against
right.
the team from South Carolina.
South Carolina Christian, yeah, they only
Yeah,
had 7 points in the first half and 9 in the second half. So they got
yeah.
this, yeah. But that were really. But right now, Mercer and UNCG look to be at the top. Chattanooga is always going to be competitive. Furman looks very competitive in the women's side. East Tennessee struggling a little bit, and then Wofford, Sanford, and Western right now not playing up to that level. But hopefully that'll turn around.
I
Yes.
know. And Coach Sip seems to be one of the best coaches, certainly the best pedigree we've had in quite some time
Yeah.
coaching these ladies. So I want to be optimistic, but we got to get past that injury bug.
Yeah, exactly. That's it. And that's also plagued the men's team to a certain degree this season. But
Yeah,
we
two
can't
solid
control that
guys.
one. That's a couple of things we can't control, that and NIL.
So let's take the next 45 minutes and talk about football.
Okay. All right. That's a lot to talk about. The portal underway right now. It'll go on until the 16th, 2 weeks. Started the day after New Year's, the 2nd, and goes all the way through the 16th. And that's been a little bit depressing up to this point, looking at our roster, Bob. I don't know if I will talk to you about this or not, but the VMI depth chart for the last game of the season, I looked on there and there looked like 18 players that could, say, initially return for next season that could be considered starters or regular players. And at my last count, 14 of those 18 are in the portal.
Right.
So
Yeah.
it's a new world right now, and I hope we can compete in it. It's going to be a rebuilding job every 2 years. The NIL numbers now are just staggering. I want to run a little talking about that, and then we can come back and talk about Western's situation here. But talking about the NIL, I've got this report. It's about a 12-page report from the NCAA that was compiled by a CPA going into all the numbers. And for example, the teams that are in the playoffs right now, Texas A&M, that was at one time, no longer in it, the Southeastern Conference, their roster, the cost of their roster, just this is not talking about scholarships. This is just the cost of the roster, NIL money and so forth. This year was almost $35 million. Ohio State was like at 33, Texas Tech 28, and you go on down there. And those are just, and you throw in, I did a little background, a little search on this. You go into their NIL budget, what they spend on their football operations, their scholarships and everything like this, I think it comes out to about $81 million. In other words, you could pay everybody at Western Carolina, the administration, the chancellor's staff, everybody in the administration building, every faculty member, everybody in the athletic department, and still could not reach the number that Texas A&M spends on football. So that's just a little reality check there, what we're talking about. And another good one, a team that we used to maybe could compare with would be James Madison. James Madison, of course, we know about their activity fee. It is ridiculous to say the least. Western Carolina is $500 plus a year. James Madison up $2,500. Last year, their student athletic fee generated $55 million. They have like over 23,000 students at that number. And so you can just see where we are right there as far as comparing. And then, like I say, they're a group of five program, but we're not quite on that level. The Sun Belt with Appalachian State, Georgia Southern, and those people.
Right.
But $55
Nah.
million in activity fee. Our entire budget is around $15, $16 million for our entire athletic program. And they're spending probably, what, 75, $80 million a year at James Madison. Yeah.
But James Madison is an outlier, but still, if you even look at like Charlotte or Georgia Southern, they're spending 3 times, 5 times what we do.
Yeah.
Looking at the G5 and the P4 teams, I saw a stat the other day. I think the P4 QBs average $750,000.
Yes.
Their linemen are averaging like $400,000 for technically non-skill positions, right? The money going to those people is crazy. And my editorial thing on this is, if you're at Western or you're at Samford and Mercer and you enter into the portal and by chance you're one of those 60% of the people that do get picked up, you get one paycheck. You're going in as the third string QB at Oklahoma State or Iowa State, and you're getting $150,000. You may never get another check, and you're probably not going to get a degree.
Yeah.
Word of you for the future. And this is wrong from the NCAA standpoint. And I'm on my soapbox today, but you and I both are on the same page with this.
Yeah. Bob, you look back, and I think, talk about everybody blames the NCAA. I blame the court system of all these lawsuits. Had the NCAA made probably a big mistake about 5 years ago when they had a chance, there was talk about this, and there seemed to be some some support about paying some players, giving them a stipend, football, basketball, and I'm sure this would trickle down to other sports. Now, we're not talking about $1 million a year. We're talking about a couple of $1,000s a year just to cover up. And we know that a lot of the athletes cannot have part-time jobs, even though they are getting scholarships and so forth. And it's still a lot of expense for them. But that was never actually happened. And I felt that was a critical time. That was about 5 years ago. That could have happened. And maybe we could have avoided this mess that we're in right now.
Yeah.
Yeah. And Bob, you mentioned one team a while ago, Charlotte. Now, I don't know if you saw the news yesterday.
I did not.
And Charlotte, I call them the UNCC. They call
Right.
themselves Charlotte. They put a lot of money into their football program, and they're wanting to take the next step. I've been saying all year that Cole Gonzalez was going to come back to Western because, A, they have a freshman quarterback that had a great year up there, and he was probably not projected to play. B, he was going to enter the portal looking for a guarantee to start at quarterback in his 5th season next year, all that stuff, and maybe even play baseball in the spring. UNC Charlotte announced that he had declared for UNC Charlotte yesterday. So my thoughts, my great brain scan there about Cole Gonzalez coming back and taking care of our quarterback situation obviously is not going to happen. Yeah.
One way that I get some news, and I want to plug somebody here, is Jerry Love, a Western alum, has a comment board for Western. And yes. I keep up with some of that. A lot of it is opinion. A lot of it is speculation. A lot of it is emotion, but it's fun to read. So if you guys who are watching here have not enrolled on the Jerry Love Catamount Sports Forum, you can do so by going to catamount.boards.net and enroll. And there are some terms of service. You can't be blowing up individuals or teammates on the thing, but right. You can. There's lots of different topics from every sport at Southern Conference and other schools. Take a look at that.
Yeah,
anyway,
I've been enrolled in that since I think maybe day with the first month that Jerry started it and so forth. And very interesting. I like to say, a lot of frustration, a lot of elation, a lot of things happen website. A
Yes.
lot of opinions, but it's
Absolutely.
good. It's good.
Absolutely.
It keeps you informed. It
It
really does.
does.
Yes.
There's news
Yeah.
there, and there are a few internal folks at Western, like yourself, James Hogan, who comment occasionally with facts, not rumors.
Yeah.
It's good information.
Yeah. I'm somewhere between internal and external, somewhere in that area. I'm not sure what.
Yeah, I hear you. You were talking about our team, and we've got so many folks who have declared for the portal. Fortunately, in positions of skill, we still have some depth, and I'm also seeing recruiting reports that we're making offers of some pretty solid players, both in the portal and still in high school. And one thing that Coach Bell and his staff does is they recruit well. That's what we've seen over 5 years now. That's what's turned this program around. So I'm optimistic on seeing who and what they can pick up in the coming weeks and on commitment day, which is what's the date, Steve?
I think was it February It's early February.
Early
Yeah,
February.
the
Right.
national. It's the final signing day for everybody for the portal. And another little thing about credit to our administration, Western starts classes back again on Monday, and the administration is actually extending the period that maybe adding another 3 or 4 days that students can enroll,
Right.
transfer into Western Carolina and not be penalized and so forth. And that will help the people that we are interested in the portal that do commit to us through the portal to get enrolled and get set here for the second semester, for the spring semester. And that's very helpful. And I really think there's going to be a lot of those young, a lot more than people expect that will be coming here. Not necessarily going to get NIL money, but just an opportunity to play after they see our depleted roster. And
Yeah.
we have some very talented people, especially in the wide receiver area, coming back, and some running backs, and
Absolutely.
that well helpful. And like I say, it's not Doomsville, but it's something. It's reality. It's going to be this way, basically, for many years to come, unless there are some significant changes with the NCAA and the courts.
It's not just us. There are over
Oh, yes.
4,000 students or player athletes in the portal right now.
Yes.
Yeah, that's a ton. If you average out all the Division I, Division II, and Division III schools, it comes out to what, about 600 schools
Right.
in the NCAA. You're talking about an average of 8 people entering the portal from every school, and that's going to be up and down.
And we've had like last year, we had 3 or 4 players come back that had left for a year, then came back. And Coach Bell, he's got a philosophy about that, and you got to go along with it about this situation. If you leave and I give you a scholarship to say to a high school or another transfer, sorry about that, but we've had 3 or 4 pretty good ones come back over the last couple of years.
So we have. Yep.
Yes.
Anything else on football?
Just maybe a little update on the skybox there. We will maybe next we get Kyle Pfeiffer here very soon. He can get us. I saw some updated pictures, and of course I pass by it every day and stop and stare at it and look and so forth. And looking forward to being able to ride the elevator next fall instead of climbing those steps at the old press box.
And you can see progress on that sports forum that we talked about a few minutes ago.
Yes, and there is a website there, that the Skybox, the construction site. But I really think that they're ahead of schedule right now, and I don't see any problem at all right now the way things are going, unless we have 2 weeks of blizzard or something like this during the winter.
Well, it looks like a lot of the exterior walls are going up.
Yeah,
So
yeah, that's right, and it looks good. August the 29th, we'll be opening our home schedule here against Eastern Kentucky, and they were somewhat worried they were maybe going to use a flexible schedule where if it wasn't ready, we would go to Eastern Kentucky this year and they would come the following year. But it looks like now, I'm talking to some of the construction people around there, not necessarily the leaders, but they think this thing will be ready in August and we'll be ready to go. Yeah.
cool.
And it's going to be quite impressive, and people really don't understand what all this facility is going to include. It's a lot more than a press box and the chancellor's viewing. A lot of office space. Basically the football operation will be moving in there. You will have computer labs, meeting rooms,
And
very quite an improvement for over what we've had in the past.
heck yeah.
Yes.
One other thing for football, and that is I noticed that the South Carolina Sports Hall of Fame has put in the nomination of David Patton. They've
Yeah.
accepted his nomination for a former Western Carolina excellent football player, went
Right.
pro. And he, as a South Carolina native, although he didn't play in a South Carolina school, was nominated and they accepted his nomination.
Yeah. Yeah. Played at what, Lower Richland High School down near Columbia and as a high school. But again, gosh, you look what David Patton did, Super Bowls with the Patriots and so forth. It well deserved, and just a tragic end to his life with that accident and so forth. And of course, Coach Bob Waters is in there also. He's in the North Carolina and the South Carolina Hall of Fames because he grew up actually Presbyterian College is where
Right.
he got a lot of his
Play.
initial fame
Yep.
before he went with the 49ers. But yeah, we've got several actually Western Carolina people in that South Carolina Hall of Fame, which is good.
Yep.
Yeah.
Baseball is right around the corner. And
Yes.
we had Coach Beck on a couple of months ago. Need to get him back on either before the season starts or right after. But we've got a lot of good home series to start the season out like we usually do. Those northern teams coming down to play and get some exposure, get some experience. Here's my schedule.
Yeah, and Bob also the thing about it, another thing about baseball, you talk about football's problems with the NIL and basketball, blah, blah, blah. Baseball, you can now grant 34 scholarships in Division One baseball, 30 with that people at Georgia and Georgia Tech and Alabama and North Carolina and
Instead of
so forth, Tennessee.
13.
And I think we're hanging on around 13. So Coach Beck is, you talk about a master at manipulating a roster and so forth. And we lost 4 guys in the draft last year too that we could have been coming back.
Yeah.
And so that tells you something about what he's having to go through also. But very impressed with what we've seen and heard about the baseball program here early on, and think an improved pitching staff, and again a very impressive schedule for Coach Beck. Yeah.
That's been our weakness the last couple of years is pitching. We just
Yes.
haven't been able to get through the road because our hitting has been strong. We've been a
Yeah.
national NCAA top 20 team in
Yeah.
offense, but just could not close things out with pitching. But we've got early season coming to Cullowhee. We have George Washington University. We got Bowling Green. Then we've got the weekend in Greenville, the tournament over there.
Michigan
Charlotte.
State's usually in that one. Yes.
This year, it's Troy, Rutgers, and East Carolina for
Oh,
us.
okay.
There may
Okay.
be other teams involved in that, but
Yeah.
let's see. Morehead State comes in before, and that's the last series before we start the Southern Conference.
Yeah.
In,
But
in the season, sorry.
yeah.
Late
Yeah.
in the season, we have a series against Wake Forest, which is cool.
Yeah, they're of course a national power and so forth. But yeah, it's exciting. Baseball, of course, that's probably one of my people. I wouldn't say this to anyone, but probably my first love is baseball still. Stuff.
It's hard not to love baseball
Yeah.
if you're of our generation. Sorry, you
exactly.
younger guys. We grew up and we knew all the names of all the pitchers and all the stars
Yeah.
across the major league. We followed some minor league teams that were close to us. And certainly I would say that baseball was my second love in Cullowhee behind football when I was going to school there.
Bob, unfortunately for me, I became a Cleveland Indians, now the Cleveland Guardians fan. They won the World Series, beating the old Boston Braves, which are now the Atlanta Braves in 1948 with Bob Feller and so forth. And the next year, when I was in the first grade, saw my first Cleveland Indians ball game in Municipal Stadium against the New York Yankees. And I've been a diehard fan since then. And unfortunately, they've never repeated that championship, World Series championship. They've been there, just haven't been able to repeat. And
I went to the game 7 of the Indians versus Marlins game down there in Miami.
Let's don't
20
talk
years
about
ago
that,
now.
please.
Yeah.
I'll never forget that.
Yeah, I was actually in Orlando and my brother called me and said, "Hey, I got tickets to the game tonight. Can you get down here?"
Yeah.
Because I hopped a Southwest flight and was there by 5:00.
Yeah. But very frustrating being a Catamount football fan. You think back championships, how many times you've been there, just for the taking and just couldn't pull it off. I'm a very frustrated fan in a lot of areas. Yes.
Well, hopefully we don't have to be frustrated about the Catamounts this year. Maybe they can
That's right. There
pick
you
it
go.
up, win the Southern Conference,
Yeah.
which is what it takes to get a bid these days,
Yeah.
unfortunately.
Yeah. And then talking about that, winning that, going back to last weekend, I think you wanted to talk about this a little bit of what happened over in Nashville, the Walter Payton Award.
Oh, yeah.
Oh,
Yes.
with Tiger Dickens and everything. And I think had we made the playoffs, he would have been the Walter Payton Award winner, and he ended up finishing second. The
Sick.
young man that won the award, his team was in the playoffs, and I think
Youngstown.
that was probably the difference. Yes.
Yeah. Statistically, Dickens, even having missed 3 games, was the strongest candidate. But you're right. We didn't get there. Curse, luck, whatever it is, we weren't there. But
Yeah, that's right. And
you and I hopefully will live one more season to see it. So
yes, I've been saying that for a long time, Bob. I've been around here since 1961. So I can tell you some stories. I can tell you some close calls, shoulda, woulda, coulda, blah, 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 over the, but we won't get into that. But going back to Nashville, I think maybe the FCS has found them a home, like a permanent home now. Everybody I talked to said that Nashville just went all out hosting the FCS championship game between Montana State and Illinois State. And I don't know if you saw the game, but that was a classic football game. And about 25,000 plus, 25, 30,000 there at where the Titans play in Nashville. And again, very impressive.
Wasn't it Vanderbilt's stadium? I thought
Excuse me, you're right. Yeah, I'm sorry, Vanderbilt Stadium, not where the Titans play. Yeah.
Yeah.
That's an impressive facility too, what they've done with that. But again, Illinois State just barely made the playoff. They had to have some things happen like happened, not enough of them to get into the playoffs. And they just one upset after another upset all the way to the championship game. And had a block kick cost them the possibility of winning the national championship. But you got to give Montana State great. What a
they earned it
they
too.
have up there. Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah. Of course, that's another world up there with the Montanas and the Dakotas being the only state institutions there and receiving all that athletic money and a different world.
And sponsorships,
yes, exactly.
Being the school in the state. So there's not a comparison. It gives them a great advantage, but that's okay. As long as they're FCS members, let's go after them.
Let's do it.
All right, man. I think that about wraps up our show for this week. I appreciate your time. As always, hope you all enjoyed it. We will be back in 2 weeks. We will know who our guest is within the next week or so, and we will have a guest next time. But we're brought to you by Stanberry Insurance, 4 offices around the region, and we're here every week. Plus, starting next Saturday, we will be on WWCU FM, 9 o'clock on Saturday mornings in the Cullowhee Valley. That's it for this edition of Tracking the Cats.